we're all here. It's on you guys, okay? Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good, guys. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, move on to item B in the agenda. We'll take a moment for silent reflection. Okay, item C, meeting a note, board member tour of transportation will be on February 17th at 1 p.m. 4 or more board members may be in attendance. And board member tour of plant facilities on February 25th at 1 p.m. 4 or more board members may be in attendance as well. Item D, approval of the agenda with the following amendments. 1, additional classified personnel actions. Item F3.
Mr. President, I move to approve the meeting agenda as amended.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, item E, delegations, public comments. We have one. Levi Burke.
Hello, Levi Bergfin, Garden City. Oh, sorry, Randy, do you need to
No,
say?
you're fine. You know the rules.
Okay. Garden City Education Association President. I just wanted to, I know you guys have already had several meetings as with the new members here, but I just want to kind of introduce myself, again, especially to the three new ones. I might be up here, posing a few of the things eventually. So might as well, start us off on the right note. So, I just really wanted to take a moment to say that, I thought the last board had done a lot of positive things. And I think with the new makeup, I think I'm really hopeful to continue that direction because I think we've got some positive momentum going. So I just want to say welcome and thank you guys for serving. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Levi. Okay, item E1, building presentation. Principal Ben Luna from Buffalo Jones Elementary.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Okay, I am Ben Luna, Principal Buffalo Jones Elementary. We brought our student leadership team with us. Also our student council lead, Mr. Guadi, who works with them closely. Our instructional coach and school counselor are here with us this evening also. Just a little bit about Buffalo Jones. We are a 2-track school, currently about 210 students. We also have a Spanish dual language track, kindergarten through 2nd grade. These guys are going to do the majority of the presentation. They've worked hard to create it, write their own parts, and they're ready to present for our building. So we'll get started here. There we go. Our wildly important goals, which match the rest of the districts, we're in line with that. So I'll kind of skip past this. I'm sure you've heard from other buildings. Just looking at our Winter Fast Bridge data and some of the assessment data from the classrooms, we're well on our way to meeting both of these goals. And that's just a tribute to our hardworking teachers and what they do in the classroom every day. Before we get started with their parts, I'll go through and have them introduce themselves. Start us off.
My name is Layla Saavedra Washington, and I'm in third grade. I am Isaiah Sanchez, and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Adric Flores, and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Ian Munoz, and I'm in fourth grade.
And I'm in third grade.
My name is Faith Rivera, and I'm in third grade.
My name is Natalia, and I'm in third grade.
My name is Cassiana Sanchez, and I'm in third grade. My name is Elisa Lauren. My name is Anna Velasquez, and I'm in third grade.
My name is Axel Vega, and I'm in third grade.
My name is Eden Vega, and I'm in fourth grade. Our vision is to build us into a kind person, strive for personal excellence, and are lifelong learners because who we become is as important as what we learn. Our mission is empower all students to reach their personal excellence by building strong relationships, guiding self-directed learning, and providing equitable, high-quality instruction. And our school motto is hard work conquers all. Here at Buffalo Jones, we have our student council that is made for third and fourth graders. To be chosen, we're going to need to make a poster and give speeches to our classes as why we can make a great leadership to our school. Our teacher uses a rubric to vote on us on how we follow our social contract and our leadership skills and how responsible and trustworthy we are. We have our Buff School store where we sell a lot of fun fidgets as well as school supplies. We even learn how to run the register and purchase and price items. We have our yearly Freddy's fundraiser where we raise money for students in our school.
As part of Student Council, we create and organize Red Ribbon Week as well as other spirit weeks. Each morning we give high fives or a fist bump to others because it's welcoming and it feels good being greeted by other students. We held a canned food drive which nearly brought in 500 cans, which we donated to the Emmaus House. Lastly, we have daily announcements which we announce new important items.
Here at Buffalo Jones, our staff are hardworking, fun, and welcoming everyone who comes to our school. The first staff member we see each morning is Mr. Luna. He greets us with a good morning greeting and a high five. He even has music playing as we arrive. The lunch staff put together a monthly birthday celebration for those students whose birthdays are that month.
We get special decoration table on our birthday cookie. Staff participate together in a school-wide Christmas caroling during the holiday months. Christmas decorations were everywhere in the building. It was beautiful. Our office secretaries designed a school-wide shirt for each student staff.
Here at Buffalo Jones, we have a lot of exciting things happening in our classrooms. Our classrooms and hallways are colorful, decorated, and inviting for all students. As part of our social emotional curriculum, which means capturing kids' hearts. All classrooms have morning greeters. All classrooms have fun and unique social contracts. A social contract is a list of terms that we create and agree to follow in the classroom and in the building. All classrooms also share daily affirmations and end each day with a lunch.
As you walk into class, teachers greet you into their rooms. During the holidays, especially Christmas, you'll see all teachers decorate their doors and hallways in fun festive holiday decorations. Lastly, each Friday, Mr. Luna plays the Friday Long Song, and in many classes, you'll see students dance and sing to the song.
Yo participé en el programa de español en Buffalo Jones. Estuve en ese programa desde kinder hasta segundo grado. En el programa aprendí a hablar, leer y escribir en español. En segundo grado pasé
de español al inglés. Me gusta mucho ese programa porque puedo hablar con mis abuelitos y puedo ayudar a mi hermana con su tarea.
There are cool things being added to our school. The biggest thing we will be adding is the playground equipment. If you have driven by our school, you will have noticed our new digital Buffalo Jones sign and window stickers. In May, we will hold our spring 3rd and 4th grade mathematics competition. The winter competition. Capturing Kids Sign, we're focusing on the lead with Delta Trade Word of the Month, which is kindness. We'll be doing many activities and as we will hold our third 90 social contract meeting celebration. The community college teams will continue to stop in and visit us. We also have 2 hardworking robotics teams that compete. They do an amazing job.
Here at Buffalo Jones, we have a lot of fun and exciting events. Our big event that takes place in our end of year family night, which brings many of our families, as well as great prizeaways, games, and food. We have Friday's night, donuts, grown-ups, and literacy nights, which also brings many of our families to our school. Our Thanksgiving lunch is always present each year. Community college players come visit us and help serve the lunch. This year we have Halloween parade, which was supported by community college athlete. Lastly, we have quarterly social contract celebration, which is celebrated with students that come without fulfilled.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Okay, any questions for our leadership team?
Your school is Capturing Kids' Hearts or Leader in Me, which,
Capture.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
The way you guys encourage each other. As you finish your words, you were there and encourage each other. Great job.
When did you say the math competition was, 3rd and 4th grade math competition?
For automaticity, so we have a challenge in the fall. They get together, it's kind of an old school just math competition as far as a multiplication fact comes up, whoever gets it first gets a point for the team. But they get really into it, there's a trophy, there's a bracket, and they are practicing their automaticity. So it's kind of just a way to encourage automaticity, but they love the competition, and we've seen dramatic increase in 3rd and 4th automaticity to do that, so. Questions for these guys? Okay, this was primarily all of them. They brainstormed. We took our building leadership team of teachers together and they kind of did an activity where they thought what was the best things happening or greatest things in Buffalo Jones. Then we met with them, did a separate activity, same thing, sticky notes. They organized them, put them in categories, compared them to the BLT, and they started to write their individual parts and then started them practicing for the last few weeks. So they were pretty excited to come see you guys and present. So thank you guys for all your hard work. You did an amazing job. Awesome.
Yes, outstanding.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you all for the notes as well.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
That's part of the Capturing Kids' Hearts process. Actually, students do that in the classrooms for each other every week. There's affirmation stations. They're always just encouraging notes to each other. They also will deliver those to teachers, and we have challenges in our building as well, where teachers write those to each other. And so it's just part of the CKH program, and it's been really great for our culture and to kind of get the positivity going throughout student and staff.
Can you talk the Excel model a little bit about that?
Maybe we want to talk about the Excel model? Right, go ahead.
The top of the Excel model means that we're doing it all with effort. And
Maximum effort, yeah. What would the middle be?
the middle means you're doing great, but you're not doing your effort.
Yeah, your top, and then what would be at the bottom there?
That you're not following directions and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Or giving average effort, right? Whatever. Good job. So if you walk in throughout the hallways, any kids from kindergarten and 4th, you'll see them do this to me all the time because they're showing that they're excelling. So I've had a lot of visitors like, what is going on with this? Because they're just trying to show you that they're excelling and they're working hard each day. So kind of a cool model for them to use in the classrooms. Good question. Anything else for these guys? Okay, thank you.
I think Roy wants a picture. So if you guys want to just come up right here, and if you, also want to get a pen and take the pen as well too. But
All right, guys.
Good job. Good job.
Why do you want to get in? All right, Sire, Carrie, you guys get a photo here?
Squeeze in a little bit, I'm guessing, huh, Mr. Cessna?
Yes.
Why don't you guys
Scoot in.
act like you like each other?
Here's good. Okay, ready?
There we go.
On three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
All right, good job. You guys are good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you boys get a pen? Do you want a pen?
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Right through it.
Okay, we'll move on to item E2, receive district audit reports. Lisa Axman and Tiffany O'Rourke.
Yeah, please.
I'm Lisa Axman, and this is actually Katie. She's filling in for Tiffany tonight. We're with Lewis Super and Dick, and we're gonna touch on the audit at a very high level and then kind of compare you to districts of similar sizes. So the first graph that we have for you is a comparison of the budget per pupil and the mill levy into general fund. So kind of just starting at the bottom and working your way up. And I don't know how well you can see it, but this red line at the bottom is the 20 mills. So the state has a state tax levy assessed on all property tax owners that helps fund K through 12 education. And it has been at 20 mills since back in 1999. Prior to that, it was sitting at about 35 mills. And this pink line in the middle, that is your budget per pupil. Sometimes people call this your base state aid. And this amount is appropriated by legislation every fiscal year for your general fund. So for 2025, that is sitting at, $5,378. For 2026, that is at $5,615. That blue line above that is the budget per pupil actually kept up with inflation. You can see back in the early 90s, inflation and the base state aid per pupil is pretty comparative. And as over the years, the gap has started to grow. And the districts fund that gap with your capital outlay, your LOB, and then doing spending cuts. So if the budget per pupil actually kept up with inflation, for 2025, the district could be getting additional $2,189. For 2026, you'd be getting additional $2,194. The next graph is a comparison of your full-time equivalent budget per pupil and mill levy across all funds. So once again, kind of starting at the bottom, the red line is the mill levy for the district. For 2025, it's sitting at 51.071 mills. A little bit higher this year just due to a change in your tip calculation. In 2024 is a little bit lower just due to an R&R timing. The green line is your full-time equivalent. It is sitting at 6,466 for 2025, staying relatively consistent, but a slow trend down. And then the blue line is your budget per pupil across all funds. And this is going to vary just depending on kind of capital projects that the district has going on, and then changes in your enrollment. So as your enrollment declines, that number is going to change. As you guys are doing more capital projects, that number is also going to fluctuate. The next graph is expenditures across all fund types as a percentage. There were 4 areas that were up this year: instruction support, central services, and operations and maintenance. There are 3 areas that were down: were facilities, food service, and healthcare. Rest kind of stayed relatively the same. Looking at the graph, the district spends about 43% of the expenditures on instruction. If you look at instruction in directly related categories, such as student support services, healthcare, and instruction support service, the district is probably spending about 64% of their expenditures directly related to instruction. So the next 2 graphs look at expenditures across all fund types, looking more at the dollars. And we kind of broke this up into 2 graphs, so it's a little bit easier to read. So the first set of categories, you can kind of see a slow trend going upward each year, kind of dealing with in raises, kind of inflation causing that slow trend up. General administration, there was a few fluctuations in 2020 and 2023. That kind of has to deal with retirements and payout of accrued leave. So there's a few fluctuations in those years. On the next graph, those categories, other supplemental services, that is mainly your IT services for the district. There was a few fluctuations in these last 3 years as you experienced a retirement, and then you hired a few more additional IT staff. Facilities and acquisitions, from 2022 to 2023, there has been a spike in your capital and project improvements. So in 2022, the district spent about 10 million on HVAC system improvements. In 2023, they spent about 2 million on re-roofing. And then in 2024, they spent about 1.3 million on additional HVAC improvements and about 1.7 million on re-roofing a few school buildings. The next graph looks at receipts across all funds as a percentage again. And to kind of put this in a little bit of a perspective, if you look at this as a dollar, 65 cents of that dollar is coming from your state sources. 12 cents of that dollar is actually coming from your local taxes. 10 cents of that dollar is coming from federal sources. The next graph looks at your comparison of receipts as dollars, and you can kind of see, similar to your expenditures, there has been a slow trend up as revenues has risen. Federal sources, there's been a few fluctuations in 2022, 2023, and 2024 as districts received the ESSER funding, and they have been spending those money. A lot of that has been spent on your HVAC system projects. Fees, those have fluctuated year to year, just depending on what's going on in the district. That is your food service. There were a few years where you had federal aid to help fund those fees. Driver's ed, textbook, and gate. The next slide just kind of summarizes statement 1, which is on page 5 of the financial statements that you were given. At the end of the fiscal year, the district had about 54 million in total funds. There was an increase of about 14 million in those funds. Those were planned increases. And just to highlight a few of those increases, bilingual education is about $1.1 million higher than the prior year. That was intentional. They're putting a little bit more money aside in that fund due to federal funding freezes. Capital outlay is up about 7.6 million, also intentional as a district tries to build reserves for your KH edition. Grant activity is up about 2.1 million, also intentional because there was just timing of reimbursements on your grants at the end of the fiscal year, so it actually caused an increase in your grant funding. The next graph is, slide, is a summary of the debt outstanding for the district. We like to kind of summarize this for you because it's not something that you'll see in the monthly reports that you get from Jessica. So at the end of the year, the district has about 70 million in bonds. Finance leases is about 12 million. That is mainly due to the HVAC projects that the district has had going on. And then employee compensated absence is about 770,000. The next few graphs, there's about 3 of them, compares 457 to districts of similar sizes. So what we did is we took about 15 districts with an FTE of about 5,000 to 13,000. And this first graph, that red bar or red line is your FTE for the districts. The bar is your mill levy. Geary County comes in at the lowest at 43.58 mills. They do get military funding, so that helps keep their mill levy down. Andover comes in at the highest at 65.408 mills. Garden City is the 5th lowest in this group of 15. You're coming in at 51.07 mills, about 4.4 mills higher than last year. Dodge City is coming in at 47.923 mills. They are actually 9 mills lower than last year, but that has to do with them paying off some of their bonded interest. So they are able to drop their mill levy a little bit. And then Liberals coming in at 49.374 mills. So as your close neighbors, you're kind of in line with your neighbors that are surrounding you. The next graph breaks down the mill levy. So as you can see, that red bar is the 20 mills that all the districts get. The yellow bar is your bonded interest, which is going to vary the most among all districts. 457 is about 6.513 mills. If 457 didn't have the bonded interest, you guys would actually be lower than Dodge City. The green bar is going to be your LOB. 457 is sitting at 16.58 mills. And then that blue bar is going to be your capital outlay, which all districts can go up to 8 mills. 457 is sitting at 8 mills. And the next graph is taxes on a $100,000 home. We like looking at this graph because it takes it more apples to apples. Each district is going to have something different going on. Once again, Geary County is going to come in at the lowest at $455. Andover's coming in at the highest at $706. Garden City, like I said, is the 5th lowest, coming in at $541. Dodge City is coming in at $505, and Liberal is coming in at $521. The next graph is just a history of 457's mill levy. 2026, the proposed mill levy is going to be 49.94 mills. That is comparative to almost 30 years ago, back in 1995, when it was sitting at 49.8 mills. And then just kind of summarizing the audit. Overall, the district did have a clean audit report. There were no findings that we had from this audit. The management letter and the letter to the governing body was provided in the detail that we gave you. We went through both of those letters in detail with the audit committee and 457 staff. So we won't really spend a lot of time this evening going over those letters. Comments, majority of them already have been addressed by 457 staff. Like I said, there's nothing really major or any concerns coming out of the audit. If you have questions or if you want to go over the audit more in detail, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to sit down and go over it with you, especially if you have questions or this is your first year. So that is the audit. Very, very quickly. Do you guys have any questions?
The bonds, is that the high school? What is of that 70 million? What is it mostly the high school? When does that set? When do we pay that off, do you know?
I want to say
34,
34 or 35.
34.
You guys are on track to pay it off a little early, if I remember right.
The finance leases, what are they?
That is primarily the HVAC system that you guys put in. So part of that was covered with the ESSER money. And then part of that was done through through finance leases. And you guys are very much stuck in that agreement. I don't think there's any way you can pay it off early.
Early payment on it, and there's a penalty for it. It's a 20-year lease purchase, so, and we're in year. It does have a very low interest rate. I think it's 2.3, so that's the good news.
And the bonds also have a pretty low interest rate. And that, if you want the detail, I think that's on page 12 of the financial statements. It's footnote 3. It kind of breaks those down for you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
All right, we're on to item F, the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move to approve all consent agenda items as amended.
I'll second.
Raise your hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
You guys need to approve the audit to make a motion.
He's trying to find it.
Mr. President, I move to approve the district audit report as presented. Proud of order.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jacob B.
Just louder.
All right, it's approved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Well, I don't have discussion wise, I'm very pleased with the audit. Jessica, you do amazing. Thank you very much. It's great and I'm very, very thankful for you. Good report and I'm happy with it. So, all right, that's all I have. Now, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, item G, board reports. I'm on the G1 winter data report. Dr. Duncan. Welcome to me. Okay.
All right, my name is Michelle Meyer, and we're gonna be good if I can my voice doesn't give out on me. I'm the curriculum and assessment coordinator for those of you that, don't know me yet. We do a couple of reports every year about our FastBridge data. And so I'm gonna use a lot of terms that may not be familiar to some of you, so if you have questions, please ask. The first few graphs, in this presentation are here to show you how many students we have above benchmark and below, and then the national average and where we are compared to the national average. So the first two graphs are our 4-year-olds, the next two are kindergarten, and the next two are first grade. Green means above benchmark. The gray line is the national average, and the blue line is USD 457 average. Okay, so what is good about this graph in particular is that the gap between us and the national average is closing. We decreased our gap in our first grade by 1.5 points in the wintertime. And then in the fall, we also just decreased the gap by 1. And the gap I'm talking about is right here. It's getting smaller. Okay. Then also our 4-year-olds, if you notice in the winter, they're above the national average in the winter. Okay, so that's, I'm going to talk about phonemic awareness here in a little bit. And so that's a really good sign for later reading. Okay, so this one is 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade. And what you'll notice is that the gap pretty much is very consistent. We did have a decrease in high risk with the second graders. The orange is high risk, so that's really good that our lowest kids got better. We had a decrease in third grade, a little bit of an increase in fourth grade, but the national gap it stays consistent all the way through. Fifth and sixth grade, we had a little bit more of a gap here this winter with our fifth graders. And I did a little bit of research this afternoon, just because I was curious about a couple things, and I'll mention those here in a little bit with fifth grade. And then they're relatively consistent from year to year. So these graphs look about the same as they did last year. Some of you were here for the presentation and some of you weren't. But for the most part, these haven't changed much from fifth grade through eighth grade. We did have a little bit, I'm gonna skip to the eighth grade real quick, of good data with our eighth grade. In the fall, they did really well. Our college pathway went up 7% from last year. Okay, so I'm not talking about this year, fall to winter, but I'm talking about the fall, this year fall compared to last year went up 7%. So that's really good. And our winter high risk went down from last year. So even though it looks like that our high risk didn't change much, it actually went down from what it was last year, about 5%. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a lot about phonemic awareness. Well, I forgot the high school next. And this one looks scary, but it's really important to keep in mind that at the high school level, once kids meet benchmark, they do not have to test again. Okay, so we have our ninth graders here. This looks like we got a lot worse. We didn't. These are the kids that weren't in the top two categories in the fall. Okay, so we had 7% more of those kids that weren't there met benchmark. And so actual numbers, 56 students moved out of high risk category from the fall to the winter at the high school. So that's really good. The self-contained ESL kids had an average growth of 1.5 points, which is a little bit higher than what's considered regular growth. Regular growth is 1.1 points. Our students who were tested below their grade level grew an average of 4.5 points. And the ones who were down here in all the oranges, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, they grew 6 points. Okay, so when I say 4 points, I'm talking about all these kids combined. They grew an average of 4.5. All the kids in the orange grew an average of 6.3 points. And keep in mind the average growth is 1.1. So we're doing a good job with our interventions. The 11th graders, we had 25 more students that met benchmark. And the 12th graders, we had 3 more students who met benchmark. Okay, so it's showing, sorry, go ahead.
You say again, the thing that you said right when you went to this slide, it looks scary because once they meet benchmark, then they don't have to retest.
Right.
Say that.
So benchmark is what is considered grade level. Yeah, they don't have, the state does not require them to test anymore once they meet benchmark in high school.
So all your high-risk kids are the only ones that were tested.
Right. And so what we're showing is that we are showing improvement even in 9 or 10, 11, and 12th grade. We're getting more kids above into grade level because those are the ones that were tested. Did that help?
That's what I wrote down when you said it. I just want to make sure.
Yep, that's, yep.
Okay.
And if you've never listened to this before, it can get confusing about what we're talking about a little bit. So now I want to, most of the buildings that have done their building reports have talked about the WIGs. So our district WIG is that we have 80% of kindergarten through second graders will meet phonics and fluency benchmark by the end of their second grade year. And that we're gonna do this with our structured literacy program. Okay, so A reading is the overall score that we were looking at in those bars. There are sub-scores inside of the A reading. There's phonemic awareness and there's phonics and fluency. Phonemic awareness is the first thing that kids learn on K through 2. Phonics and fluency then is what makes you become a fluent reader that can comprehend what you read when you get older. Okay, so the phonemic awareness, we want eventually to be 90 to 95% of kids are phonemically aware so that they become good readers, okay? But we want 80% for phonics and fluency. So that's a different section of what we call our screening to intervention report. And you're gonna see that we're making some growth in this area, which is really exciting. Any of you that are new have any question about the difference between phonemic awareness and phonics and fluency, or anyone? Okay. So that's the graphs that I'm gonna kind of go over right now. So our winter data from our kindergartners. Now, these graphs, we are just looking at this year's data, and then the one that follows, we're gonna look at comparing last year to this year, the same kids. Okay, so when we get to that, I'll explain what that is a little bit. Okay, so our kindergartners, this is phonemic awareness on the left. This is phonics and fluency on the right. Okay, so their phonemic awareness went up 8% from the fall. And it says that their phonics and fluency went down, but here's an important thing with kindergartners. That's letter sounds. When they test in the fall, they're only expected to know 3 letter sounds. And the winter, they're expected to know 26 of them. So that's one of the reasons that it goes down, because of the jump in what they're expected to know by winter. Okay, our first grade winter data, they were up 9.2% on their phonemic awareness. So see, we're getting to 74% there on first grade. Remember what our goal is over here, phonics and fluency, to be up near 80. Now, first grade goes down in the winter normally on their phonics and fluency because they go from reading sentences to reading paragraphs. And the number of words that they're expected to read goes from 12 words per minute to 37 words per minute in the winter. Previous years, this graph has usually dropped about 7% in the wintertime. Last year, it dropped 4%, and this year, we didn't even drop 1%. So that's really good progress for our first graders. Now, this is what I was talking about, comparing the same kids. Okay, so last year's kindergartens, this year's first graders. Okay, so they improved 20% from last year to this year in their phonics and fluency. No, phonemic awareness, sorry. The next one will be phonics and fluency. So they were almost 20% on their phonemic awareness from kindergarten to first grade. Their phonics and fluency went down, but remember, we're talking about kindergartners that are only looking at letter sounds in the winter to first graders who are reading sentences and paragraphs. Okay, so there's a big difference between letter sounds and reading entire words. But what is good about this graph is that last year we dropped 25%, and this year we dropped 17%. So that's a good increase for what we're doing. The second grade had big increases in both areas, phonemic awareness and phonics and fluency. And then their change from last year went up 14%. Okay, so this CBM winter right here, this means that the first graders are reading, and remember we said they're going from just thinking about letter sounds to now to reading, and in second grade, they're reading a lot. It went up from first grade 14%. So even though we're making a little bit of a drop in first grade, we're getting that back in second grade. And so that data looks really, really good for us this year.
You want this goal to be 80%?
Yeah. Third grade. So their phonemic awareness. Remember at the very beginning, I said we eventually want kids 90 to 95%. We're going to get there here pretty quick. When we get into fifth, sixth grade, our kids are phonemically aware. We just keep working on the phonics and the fluency. Okay, and the negative 4% was a little bit more than what we had last year in third grade drop. So last year we only had a 1.4% drop, and this year we had a -4. So this is one grade where we had a little bit of a drop in phonics and fluency. But from second to third grade, they got better. So it's confusing to look at that and go, wait a minute, you just said we dropped, and now this you're saying we got better, because we're looking at, in the first graph, we're looking at apples and oranges, two different sets of kids. On this, we're looking at the same set of kids. So the same set of kids got better on their phonics and their fluency from second to third grade. So kids are improving. Fourth grade. I like to look at last year and this year because we finally got some longitudinal data that we can really take a look at. So last year we were up 1.1 on a phonemic awareness, and this year we're up 1.3, so a little bit more, and we're getting closer to that 90%. We're at 88.8. And then on our phonics and fluency, we dropped 3% from the fall, and last year we dropped about 3.3. So it's about the same drop as what we had last year.
And is that like normal across
Yeah.
everything that kids, as things get harder, they're gonna struggle a little bit more?
A little
taking
bit.
Those first tests?
And I'm gonna talk about this change in fifth grade because it seems like there's a big drop in fifth grade. And I did a little bit more research on the test and things that are included on the auto reading in fifth grade, which is it's part of the A reading. But what I look at is what happens from year to year to year. And this is about the same as what it was last year. And remember our national trend lines that we had on this for that we're staying where the nation is. Okay, so from third grade to fourth grade on phonics and fluency, look at that. Look what our kids did. They were third graders. Last year they were at 45, and this year as fourth graders are at 69. So they're getting better. Even though it looks like they're dropping in the wintertime on that test, they're getting better as they go through the grade school. Okay, so fifth grade, the phonemic awareness stayed the same. That one's not going to change very much as they continue to get older. It's 89%. Well, we're going to hover between 90 and 95% on that. The phonics and fluency went up 2.3% from the fall. And then this is what concerned me the most last year and again this year. And then I looked at the test that we look at, the A reading test. In fifth grade, auto reading is what affects the phonics and fluency. And in fifth grade, what they test changes. Okay, so they add in matching synonyms, decoding, morphology, and all those things that they haven't done before fifth grade. And so that's probably why it's dropping like that in fifth grade, because of the different. And then you'll see that in sixth, seventh, and eighth, we start making gains in that again, because those same things are tested on the auto reading test. Sixth grade, that's about where we were last year. Not a lot of difference there. But look at how they grew from 5th to 6th grade. They went up 6% from 5th to 6th grade. 7th grade, pretty negligible differences from fall to winter in both areas. And then they went up 4.4%. Then 8th grade, not much difference in phonemic awareness. Remember, I said that won't change very much once they get older, but their phonics and fluency is getting better. And it says they went down a little bit, but not, 0.1%. That could be 1 or 2 kids, okay? But the green circle is getting closer to where we want it to be on phonics and fluency. Okay, so what are we doing well? I think that the data shows we're really growing over time. The kids are getting better as they're going through school. We really focused on structured literacy for 3 or 4 years now, and the data is starting to show, and it takes that long for data to change. Our letters training is almost complete for our third group. Our first group had 40, our second group had like 120. And then this is our third group that has around 40 in it. And then we have a fourth group that just started this year that will finish next year. And so we have facilitators that we got trained in our district, and they're the ones providing the PD now for our teachers. So we can, every time we have new teachers come into the district, we can get them letters trained. We have given our staff many opportunities for professional development after school this year, and from all of our departments. Supplemental department focuses on ESL instruction, migrant things. Our technology department helps teachers implement technology. Elementary, secondary curriculum, we're working on literacy and improvements in instructions and literacy. And then our special education department, USPD on Thursdays. To help with the instruction in that area. So every department is given PD after school almost every day of the week to help improve our instruction, and it's what the teachers need. We're seeing more reading in our students in our walkthroughs throughout every building. We selected our ELA curriculum and adopted our ELA curriculum, and we're going to emphasize our professional learning for that new curriculum next year. Things we're working on. We're going to continue to use our fast bridge screening to help us identify students who might be performing below grade level. Keep in mind, it's a screener, so it's going to over-identify a little bit, but we'd rather really pay attention to kids and make sure that they're doing okay. That we want to keep working on our triangulating of our interim data, our CAP data, and our fast bridge data to make sure we're meeting the needs of all students. And we're going to keep improving our intervention systems for our secondary level schools. Questions?
Is there a level for kids that you're like, if you're not an adequate reader by this point, you're really going to struggle, like where it almost
Is it
becomes
second or
too
third?
little, too late?
First.
First grade?
Yeah.
Oh,
But it doesn't mean you can't help kids.
that's
But
like,
I don't remember the
They even- They'll need intense interventions to get caught. If they don't have intense interventions, they won't get caught up.
Which is what we focus, yeah, it is. And that's what our teachers are learning in letters and those programs, and why it's so important that we have kids reading as much as we can get them reading in first, second, third grade in the classroom.
for fun. Like,
Yeah, just
yeah, if you can
all the
convince
time, I
them to
mean,
read for
yes.
fun, then all of a sudden they're like, oh. So that's where you need the parents to help, right?
It's all of our jobs, yeah.
It's really good. The hinge point is the structured literacy and the foundational skill at first grade. Kids that are behind at first grade in the fall, that CBM data that's kind of the point where if they're behind there, like 80–90% of them nationally stay behind unless they've had intense interventions. So yes, reading with parents is important because it builds background knowledge and vocabulary, But the structured literacy piece of phonics and phonemic awareness that we summarized, kids aren't gonna just pick that up because we read to them. They're gonna need explicit instruction in like letter sounds and how to manipulate sounds. So there's 5 main components to reading: vocabulary, phonemic awareness, phonics, comprehension, background knowledge, and what we summarize here in this screener is largely phonemic awareness and phonics.
The other question.
I'm pretty pleased with it, because normally when we do this, the winter, it's always the worst.
It's
And it
looking
wasn't
so
this
much
time.
better.
Yeah.
Still got work to do, but we're going in the right direction for sure.
The data's starting to kind of make sense. Good luck, guys, you got a couple more years to catch up. You know, like how you're comparing things and yes, when you pointed out that this is the same kids and then these are different kids.
Yeah.
It kind of, you might have just a really, really smart class one year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem.
Joe.
Yep.
H, new business. Item H1, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the following curriculum council items. Dr. Dunn, are you up?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
It's me, I promise.
Yeah.
I know I come before you quite often when it comes to new courses. The first part of this are just a few name changes at the high school level, mostly with our music classes to add some clarity to the courses. So for example, that semester 1 symphonic band to marching band, what is known as marching band. So they wanted to shift some of those names to make sure that it was clear what those courses were actually doing. The second part of that, I know, so this is the part that I come before you quite often when it comes to CTE courses. So we have been updating and improving our CTE courses, making sure that they align with the recommendations for the states, and also to make sure that we are offering some additional courses. And middle school, I've talked a lot about the high school level, so middle school is actually also part of that process too. So in the first part of that, we're just changing some of the names to align with the CTE pathways that exist. So those courses already exist. We're just making sure that those line up with the state recommendations and what they've changed their names to. The third part is the middle school courses that we would like to add. And these are introductory level CTE courses. So the recommendation from the state is we start to push those down into like 8th grade levels so that they can start those introductory courses and explore some more before they get to the high school and they start taking the pathways. And what this does, they won't get high school credit for it, but what it does is it offers them the ability to explore those courses, those pathways, and then they will be able to become completers earlier. So they have more time in their schedules at the high school level to then take the focused CTE courses at the higher level. So it's actually a really good thing. What I brought for you, I only have one copy of this. I'm going to leave it with you. I told Mr. Guyman I would send a digital link, but I realized I had never brought you the actual like guidelines for the 26-27 school year, which is what we're working towards. And this has all the CTE pathways and it shows you like the introductory courses for it. So I did bring one that you can kind of pass down, but I told them I would send the digital link for it so you guys had it.
I'll include it in the newsletter on Friday so that you all have a copy of it. That's a lot of pages to make copies.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I just made the one copy and then we'll get you the digital link for it. So some of those, when you look at the pathways, there's like exploration courses and introductory courses. Those are the ones we want to start pushing down into that 8th grade level. So that's what we have on there for this first part. A little at a time, kind of focus on some high interest introductory courses for those middle school level. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm really excited to see the CTE courses in middle school. I really think that's gonna be a good deal.
Okay.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, item H2. Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the purchase of a bell and intercom system at Horace Good Middle School. Grade A alert in the amount of $238,434.16. Casey. You're up.
And so, last fall, we finished installation of 2 bell and intercom systems at, Florence Wilson and Bernie sits. So just evaluating systems across the district. We turn Horace Good's kind of the next in line to get, theirs upgrade. They're having quite a few failures and just things not running as smoothly as they need to for on a day-to-day basis. And so, in December, we put out an RFP for bids to 7 companies. We got, had a walkthrough that they had to attend to put in a bid. So we had 2 companies show up, InAlert and SWC. SWC is the company that put in Florence Wilson and Bernie sits. So we weren't surprised to see them put in a bid. So both companies came out. We did a walkthrough this January 5th. Got all their questions answered. They submitted bids the next week. Then we had a meeting with, since we already had SWC's product in place, we really didn't need to see them again, but we had InAlert come out and present their product. With the cost being significantly cheaper than SWC's, we wanted to see their product, live and see how it works. And all in all, the products are almost exact same. What we're getting from InAlert is similar to SWC. The benefit from what we're looking at versus just kind of an analog bell and intercom system allows us to kind of future-proof our buildings a little bit by putting it all IP-based and putting it on the network. Allows us for expansion into other areas besides just bells and intercoms. What we had them quote was just the bell and intercom because that gets us going. We have camera systems and door locks and all those things already in place, but as we move down the road, having the system set up this way will allow us to expand that if we need to. The nice thing about the system also will allow us, as we move forward, if this is kind of one of the things we talked about as a committee was, we want to kind of standardize on one system. And so this gives us a chance to see this one, get in place. I think this will probably be the better product going forward, probably will be cheaper going forward. So, if we standardize on that one, as we add more schools, it allows us to centrally manage that system here in the building, lock down buildings if we need to. I mean, there's a lot of things that will benefit as we move forward into other schools, as their systems also will need upgraded. We, it kind of long-term plans, there's other schools that are going to need this down the road. So Horace Good's one of our bigger buildings, so it's going to be pricier than some of the others, but on par. So
Will they, INA and the SWC, will they work together or no?
not so much. No, we're going to go one way or the other. And so, I think as a group, we decided we wanted to go with InAlert. Just again, the cost is a big factor for us, but the similarity of the product is so close that we're not losing anything by going with their product versus the other. And so they do all their own installation, which is different from SWC, contracted a lot of their labor out. And so InAlert has their own technicians. They come out, they do the work, those kinds of things. So I think it'll be a good transition.
It was like $60,000 difference, wasn't it?
Close, yeah.
Roughly that.
Yeah, it was close. I think theirs was $295 compared to the $230. Here,
Casey, you said
$294.
SWC did Florence Wilson and Burning.
Yes, they did.
Have we worked with InAlert?
We haven't worked with them. They bid some other projects, or they've been in to see other things with us. We haven't ever used them that I'm aware of for any product. So
I saw they provided us 3 references here. Have we contacted any of them yet, or?
I haven't. I think Drew had contact with a couple of the schools in Wichita that have worked with them and knows them. Drew knows them a little better than I do, but has contacts.
Talked with the college and the county and
College and the county also use InAlert for their systems. So they're well versed in Garden City and have technicians out here all the time. So I don't think service is going to be a factor at all.
What kind of warranty do they have? Not big stuff.
We required a certain warranty. The particulars, I can apologize. That was a lot more I kept on the top of my head.
just how are we saying as part of that plan, the safety
Yes.
plan?
So
Yeah.
normally we would use this is part of the Safe and Secure Schools grant that went away, that we would for it, so we would. Knowing that it.
If we're gonna be doing, we're gonna have a couple of them do every year, more than likely. I mean, the elementary schools, we're doing the smaller schools, we probably do. As good as a big school, and so there's, it's gonna be, it's got a big paycheck. Really, Horse Good wasn't on our list to go this year, but because their intercom is in such bad shape, we need to get that one fixed sooner, and so we kind of moved them to the front of the line. But most of our intercoms were all put in the early 2000s, and so they're all pretty much at end of life, and so. Last year, that was in 2012, and so, and it's starting to show its age too, so.
I don't have that right off the top of my head. Let me get that for you.
Apologize, yeah, I
I
just
didn't have that.
don't want to be a year down the road or something.
No, we, part of the bid, they had, I think it was a 5-year guarantee. As part of just to even bid the project, they had to guarantee it for that long. But I'll definitely get you it's definitely way more than a year.
Any other questions for Casey? Okay, thanks, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, we'll move on to item I, board open discussions. Robin, you're up.
It's always great to see the kiddos, and man, I'm like so jealous of all those kids that are bilingual. Like makes me want to take some Spanish classes and figure out how to speak 2 languages. Appreciate the presentation, and like I said earlier, it's starting to make a little more sense. The first year, you see the negative numbers and you're like, but as time goes, it makes a little more sense, and I like seeing the changes from like this year compared to last year, that most of those were better improvements.
Here, Mark.
Yeah, I echo what Robin said about, it's nice to have the school presentations and have the students come in, the kids come in. And I thought the Buffalo Jones students did a great job tonight. They were well prepared. I would like to thank the staff for everything they do. Casey for getting this together for First Good Middle School. Michelle, putting all that together for us. And yeah, I remember last year asking some questions because some of this stuff didn't look so great. And I think we're heading the right direction. There's always room for improvement, but I think we're heading in the right direction. And that's it.
Nathan?
I agree with everything that's been said so far. Appreciate just all the instructional staff. I know there's a lot that goes on, and all the teachers in the classrooms and everything that's happening to get those scores to come up. There's a lot of hard work that happens day in and day out. So I want to say thank you to the teachers for doing that, the interventionists that are working there, and the support staff that are there to support them. And that's a lot of the paras being there, helping out as well. So I've seen that, so I appreciate all of them. It's exciting to see spring coming. Feels like that way today a little bit. And I know sports teams are gearing up for the spring season. It's exciting to see what those are happening, and the winter season's winding down. But I know it's been fun. We've had the basketball boys come over, do some volunteer community service hours at the church. So it's good to see the community, them getting out in the community and connecting with the community well. So I appreciate that. So appreciate the effort of our coaches to be able to get involved in things like that. So looking forward to what we can do in the future for that as a community altogether. So appreciate that. That's all I got.
Jacob?
I agree with what everyone said. Jessica, I think you're doing a great job around the budget. It looks pretty good compared to some other big schools, so appreciate that. We've been going around doing school tours, and I really enjoy that, getting to meet the staff. And today the kids actually put on the tour. I thought that was really cool that they did that. I'm excited to see what the graph will look like next year, maybe in the fall. I'm excited about the way things are going.
Becca?
Trying to clean up again. Agree with what everybody said, but, so I've gotten to see a new board member, but have been able to see the way those fast bridge test scores work just from my own parent-teacher conferences and the way those early readers, the phonemic awareness and the phonics work in those tests and stuff. But interesting to see our district and especially compared to the national average. And I mean, it's pretty encouraging. It looks like good growth. So that's, I mean, can walk out of here feeling like, our teachers are doing good work and our students are doing well. So that's good. I think it'll be interesting to see how it changes with the new ELA curriculum, especially since our teachers and our administrators are excited about what this ELA package will do to improve. So hopefully that moves us even higher. So that's good. I agree with Jacob. Thank you for all you do. Finance is a lot of numbers to keep track of. So I appreciate that. And outside of that, just, I mean, seeing the kids here, like at Victor and Ornelas earlier today, that was fun to have them lead us through the school and then to see those kids in here tonight. I mean, that's what it's about, is watching these kids grow and learn and stuff. So all good. And I do appreciate that you're getting us into the schools early and quickly and just getting us integrated into that. I think that's
Good.
That's important.
Okay. Yeah, I did everything that everyone said. I always love Buffalo. It seems like Ben always has the students so prepared when they come in and always do a good job. Money side of things, I'm the last, that's so far above my head of that, but I do feel like we're in a good place, even though we do have some struggles coming. I mean, declining enrollment and federal funding and state fund, all that stuff that comes in. I do feel like that we're in a good place, and I know it's because of the staff and you and everybody else, what we're doing. We are gonna have some tough challenges in the future, but I think we're doing well. I am gonna use that graph, we're the fifth lowest in the state. Because I get told from everybody that we have the highest taxes in Kansas. I hear that daily, so I'm gonna throw that graph at them to show them no, we're not. But that's it. Josh?
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking on the discussion with the Fast Bridge data. We're obviously not where we want to be, but we are moving at least in the right direction. And I think that's a ship that you're not going to get turned right away. It's going to take a little time, but I think we've got a lot of the things in place to make really good movements. I think the new ELA curriculum, with it being, lined up with the science of reading and like Heather said, and it's based on structured literacy. I think that's going to be huge for us. Wednesday, Steve and I are going with some of the folks in his instruction office. Mark's going to go with us to go visit the Phillips Fundamental Learning Center. I think the more that we start targeting our kiddos that are really struggling in reading and figuring out how to address their needs, that's going to move that needle for us. And I think the work that we've done with letters and that we've really kind of committed our staff, and we're going to be able to do that in-house, is going to be huge, because then I think we can build onto that. So this is letters and you've learned that, but now what do you do next? And I think we'll be able to do some of those things and kind of take things to the next level. So I'm really excited for where we're going to go with literacy. It's going to take some time, but I feel like the data is finally starting to show that we're making progress. One thing that was really exciting when at the beginning, when Michelle was talking about the pre-K and how we actually were above the national average, I think that's a testament to we moved Haggerty and did the phonemic awareness. We started doing that at 3 years old. We're working with kiddos, and so we're introducing them to that stuff early, and we're seeing that impact as our kids go into kindergarten and they do their fall assessments. They're scoring higher in the fall, and I think that's all because of the foundation that we're laying early. And so I think those things are huge. I did want to piggyback on what was said about the audit. I think Jessica and her staff do a phenomenal job. One thing that wasn't shared that I think is really important is there were no material weaknesses identified this year in the audit, which is the first time in 5 years. So that says a lot about the work that she and her staff are doing. Jessica's got a really good understanding of that and does a great job in that office. So a lot of good things happening.
Okay, item J, the next board meeting, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education will take place on Thursday, February 26th at 6 p.m. here in the board meeting room of the Educational Support Center.
Mr. President,
Yes.
we need to make a last minute amendment to our executive sessions. K2, the second executive session, we need to remove. I just got a text from Jennifer and she's deathly ill and not gonna make it in. So we just need to make a motion to amend the agenda to remove that.
Mr. President.
Sorry.
I move to amend the agenda to remove K2, consultation with attorney for the body or agency, which would be deemed privileged in an attorney-client relationship.
Second.
Moving second, is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same, motion carries. Okay, item executive session, K1.
How long do we need?
30 minutes.
So we're gonna take this.
Drew likes to talk a lot.
I don't want to have it. I was saying, all right, we need 10 more minutes.
It's 7:16 right now. Mr. President, I move we go into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss negotiations for the 26-27 school year pursuant to the exception for employer-employee relationships negotiation under COMA, beginning at 7:20 p.m. and the open meeting will resume in the board meeting room at 7:50 p.m. I'd like to invite Dr. Diamond, Drew Ton, Steve Norby, and Jessica Nother to join us in executive session.
So moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same, motion